How's it going, everybody? Ragroth here. So I figured with Persona 3 Reload literally coming out in I think 2 days from now, I figured maybe do a Persona-centric related video, one I haven't done in a while. One thing I think a lot of us, maybe not everybody, have been asking for is a Persona 5 arena. Basically, a new Persona arena game that would feature Persona 5 characters, maybe some missing Persona 3 characters, and maybe even the pre-Persona 3 characters, you know, because they do exist. And it's something that we've been asking for a while, and we just don't really seem to get. We kind of just get other spin-offs instead. I would also take a Persona 5 Strikers too. And I know they said they wanted to make a sequel, but we haven't heard anything on that either. I know there's a rumor that there is still a fighting game coming. It's just gone through a lot of changes or something. But then I think the newest rumor is that at least the spin-off game coming this year is a party game, which honestly, the only really interesting about it is that sounds like it's going to feature characters that were from Persona 1 and 2, which, I mean, that's cool, but I'd rather do something with them that isn't like a party game, but whatever. I don't know. Arc Systems work is just a lot busier, and I guess so is Koei Tecmo, or Omega Force, I should say. But the point of this video was I figured I could do a top 10 most wanted characters for Persona 5 Arena, if it exists, if it is actually going to exist, or it could just be a fun hypothetical thing. We don't really know what's going to happen. We could get a fighting game, we can get a new fighting game like years after this video or something. This is just a hypothetical for when it happens or if it happens. But yeah, I guess a couple rules with this list is, so unfortunately, I'm not doing any Persona 1 or 2 characters. I haven't played those games. I'm familiar with some of the characters. Some of them look like they'd be really cool. None really stand out to me too much. I would gladly play the games if they got remade or something, or even HD remastered. I don't know enough. I feel like, and there's a lot of other characters I can think of in their place. Another rule is that while there will be some Persona 5 characters, I am trying to kind of stick away, and from 3 and 4 as well that were in Arena maybe, I'm trying to stick away from the ones that we know are 100% getting in. Like, we know Joker is going to be in the game if there is a Persona 5 Arena, and I like Joker, but it's like he's not going to be on this list. We know he's going to be on the front cover of the game, and it's like we already have had him in a fighting game anyway. Some of these other characters we haven't. And also, before you check out the video, if you can just do me a favor and just give a like on the video, or even a dislike if you really dislike it, and definitely consider subscribing to the channel. I feel like this video and some of my others, it would really help the channel out a lot. We're almost to 900 subscribers. It'd just be great to hit it at least by this year. And, you know, of course, I also have a Discord in the description below as well if you want to hang out and talk about stuff with me and my friends. So, yeah, but there will be someone. There's a couple that are kind of like no-brainer. They would be in the game without question picks, but not Joker at least. So, yeah, let's get started. Number 10.
異性がいいね。若者はそうでなくっちゃ。
So there's not really much to say with this one. Adachi is basically my favorite Persona character, or at least one of them, at least my main in Persona 4 Arena Ultimax and BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. So of course I want to see him back. And it would be just nice if he got to be in the base roster this time. He's always a DLC character or something. Well, I guess he was a pre-order bonus character in Ultimax, so you kind of did have him day one, but even still. Honestly, not really much. No, but yeah, I don't really think there's anything you'd have to change about him at all. So yeah, just bring Adachi back as he is. Number 9.
I am Minazuki. Show Minazuki. I am the one who will destroy you, the Kirijo fools, and this world.
So Sho is another one of my favorite characters, and he was exclusive to the Persona 4 Arena games. I like Labris as well, but more of a Sho fan. Honestly, I actually like Adachi more than Sho. The reason why Sho is higher is because I at least got Adachi in Cross Tag Battle. Sho was unfortunately not in that, so I'd kind of like to see him come back. Not only that, but he's a character that's exclusive to the Arena game, so he should definitely be in the game. And especially because his story kind of ended weirdly in Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. He kind of just disappeared, so we could really find out what happened to him as well. Now, of course, the thing with Sho is that there were 2 versions of him. One that was the Sun Arcana that did not use a Persona, and one that was the Moon Arcana that did use a Persona. Of course, the one I like back is the one Minazuki that actually used the Persona. I think that's what most of us would want back. It's called Persona after all. You could maybe kind of fuse them in a way, but yeah, we really just need the one with the persona back. I'm okay if they kind of trim it down to one character slot with him, honestly. Number 8.
この構図いい絵が描けそうだ
So our first Persona 5 character, Yusuke is probably one of my favorite party members of Persona 5. He's just a cool and fun character, and you know me, I love anything that's remotely like Virgil from Devil May Cry. So seeing him in this game would be kind of like, I guess, kind of getting like a Virgil character. Granted, he'd probably be more like Jin Kisaragi from Blaze Blue with more art and painting kind of incorporated in his moveset, because he's another Lido character that uses ice as well. But even still, Yusuke is really cool, no pun intended. There's definitely ways for him to work in the game, and you could definitely kind of use archetypes from like Jin and other Lido users in fighting games or other Arxes fighting games. One that I can immediately think of, I'm not really sure. I've admittedly never really been that crazy about Yusuke's default persona. I'd kind of like if he had the first awakened one, Susanoo. I don't know if any of them are going to get their awakened ones, unfortunately, but I guess who knows. In regards to Yusuke coming back, being in the game, if the game actually happens, Yusuke is 100% in the game. He's a main party member character from the most popular, most relevant Persona game. He's definitely going to be in. Number 7.
さあ、やるわよ。一気に型をつける。
So yeah, another Persona 5 party member, Makoto, probably one of my favorite party members in the game. I just think she's really cool. I think she'd be amazing to see in a fighting game. I think the exciting thing with Makoto as well, she would be the first character we would get in a Persona Arena game that uses the nuclear element, because that was a new thing introduced in Persona 5. I just love the idea of maybe her being kind of like a brawler, but also maybe with some of like some of Ghost Rider's stuff from Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 where he used the motorcycle. This is one case where I'd actually kind of rather the character maybe have their default persona, or maybe even final persona they added in Royal was kind of a motorcycle as well. So that one would be cool. I forget what it's called off the top of my head. I know the first one is Johanna. But yeah, I think Makoto would just be super sick in a game like this. I don't really know what archetype she'd really use aside from having some specials kind of like what Ghost Rider uses in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Again, she'd probably be much more close range because Ghost Rider uses a long chain, while Makoto mainly uses her fists. Now, once again, just like with Yusuke, if there ever is there is another Persona fighting game, Makoto is 100% in the game. I am not worried about her making the game. Or I should say, I'm not worried about her missing the game. Number 6.
守りたいものすら守れねえで俺は結局誰も契約だ
So now we're going to get a little weird. We're having a Persona 5 character, but one that was introduced in Persona 5 Strikers, not Persona 5 or Persona 5 Royal, Zenkichi. So I admittedly, at least at the time of recording this video, I am not that far in Strikers, so I have not gotten Zenkichi as a playable party member, but I am at least familiar enough because I think I watched the trailer for him way back when and kind of how he fights. I mean, yeah, he seems like a really cool character. And he'd also be kind of someone that would specialize more in almighty skills, which isn't something we really see much of. He would definitely have to be a slower, heavy hitter character. I mean, granted, I know he uses I believe he uses like 2 Lugers. So I guess, at least he could have maybe a fast projectile, but everything else, I think he'd have to be a slow, heavy hitter. I could definitely kind of see him being kind of like Kaguya from Blaze Blue. 2 kind of characters that use like long swords and also kind of have some kind of darkness or gravity kind of a element to them. Now for his chances, I feel like he would be a DLC character, but I think it would also depend if this game is more following Persona 5 Strikers or Persona 5 Royal. I would like to say it would be following Royal, but I don't know for sure. I definitely feel like he could be in the game, but I feel like he'd most likely be DLC. It's just kind of what my gut would tell me. Number 5. So yeah, our first Persona 3 character, MC, or I think her canon name is like Minako or something like that. We really need the Persona 3 main characters. Like, it's getting a little ridiculous. Like, I understand the reason why, but it's like, it just rubs me the wrong way that we can't get the main Persona 3 characters in these games. And I know she has a little more going against her because she's technically not canon. And now we have Persona 3 Reload that's just acknowledging kind of the original Persona 3, so she's definitely not canon now. I feel like the way to kind of get her in the game, they kind of have to do what sort of Persona Q2 did and kind of take her from, I guess, another continuity or timeline or something. I didn't beat Q2, and I know I got at least far enough to get her, but that was at least the general gist of what I remember hearing. In regards to her, I know we kind of already have a pole arm user in the Persona 4 Arena Ultimax games, which is Ken and Koromaru. I think she would play a lot differently from them, though, because first of all, she's only one character unlike those two. Secondly, I feel like her element would most likely be fire, or they could even make her a wild card user, while Ken and Koromaru used lightning, light, fire, and dark. Well, I guess they did use a lot, but yeah, okay, so she would probably mainly just use fire. Her persona could probably be her version of Orpheus. I think that would be fine. Of course, she'd be a lot more long-range character, probably a little less tricky than Ken and Koromaru, maybe slower though, or I'm not sure. I guess you can make her either slower or faster. I think either one. I guess she would definitely be less gimmicky. I mean, she's a main character, so I feel like she would kind of be more straightforward and easy to use. Now, in regards to her chances, I can only see her being a DLC character. As much as I would love for her to be in the base game, she strikes me as just a DLC character, unfortunately. If even that. If we even get Persona 3 characters in Persona 5 Arena. Number 4. So yeah, another Persona 3 character, my boy Shinjiro. Now, Shinjiro is a tricky one. First of all, he's one of my favorite party members in Persona 3. It's a shame you don't get to use him more. Maybe Reload will fix that, but it probably won't. I think he's a really cool character. I kind of like that archetype where he's sort of that badass with a heart of gold sort of thing. Now, with him to work, he has a lot of problems going against him. First of all, we already have technically two characters that uses an axe in the Persona 4 Arena already. Then we'd most likely be getting another character that uses an axe in Haru from Persona 5. Now, how could we differentiate Shinjiro? Well, Shinjiro does only use physical moves. Haru would definitely specialize more in like psychic abilities and all of that. So that definitely wouldn't be conflicting with each other there. Now, Labris is a little bit more tricky because she is more of a physical fighter. She doesn't really have a set element. I know she has I guess Shadow Labris has darkness, and then regular Labris has she has her persona had those weird kind of red light kind of thread weaving stuff. I feel like Shinjiro would just be kind of all out sort of brawler, very close range based character. Maybe he could be a grappler. Maybe he could be kind of like the Abigail or Juggernaut kind of character in Persona, where it's like he's just a very physical heavy character and not really a grappler like Kanji. Another thing with the axe, you could give him, I believe he did have some other weapons other than axe. I thought he had a signpost or something, or like a mace or a hammer. You could give him that. I mean, I'm more of a fan of the axe personally, but that would be a way to kind of differentiate him a little bit if we had to. Now, I guess the tricky thing with him is, him and the Femc are kind of in a similar situation where they're both dead. So that's a problem, and I know Atlas is very stingy about, I don't think they want to bring characters back to life, especially in Persona 3, because the main theme of Persona 3 is death and kind of living with that, and I guess it would sort of cheapen that theme if they brought him back. However, I think there are some ways to go about this. First of all, and this applies to Femc and another character I'm going to mention right after this as well, you could just have him not be canon, just not canon the main story, just there to play this for fun. He could be tied to flashbacks, or this I think would be the most interesting. So basically, I believe, and I might not be right about this, but I could have sworn I heard this, in Persona 3 Portable, if you max out the social link with the Femc at least, basically he won't actually die. He'll just be put in a coma, and I believe he maybe wakes up at the end of the game. So what you could do is you could maybe take Shinjiro from the Femc Persona 3 Portable timeline, where he's still alive, You could maybe also take you. I guess you'd have to take her from that as well, but she also kind of dies at the end. So maybe you'd have to take her from earlier in that, while Shinjiro you could kind of take it, well, I guess any point. But yeah, I mean, I could definitely see there being some kind of crazy, like, kind of timeline sort of universe travel with this. I mean, it's a common theme these days in media and fiction to do that, but I think just with the whole Persona 5 Strikers and Persona 5 Royal potentially being two different timelines and all that crap, you'd kind of have to do that anyway. But honestly, unfortunately, I don't really think Shinjiro would be that likely. I think, again, just like Femc and Zenkichi, his chances would probably mainly lie in being a DLC character, which, hey, is fine. I'll settle for that. Number 3.
I will.
So remember how I said that they really need to have the main characters in Persona 3 in the game this time? Well, this is what I'm really talking about. That the actual main original character from Persona 3 has still not been in a fighting game. And that to me is a travesty. I would like to say at this point they would rectify that because they know people would want him, but I'm just not sure. I feel like there would at least be more chance of him than Shinjiro just because he's the main character. You could also kind of find ways where, the seal the seal that his life is basically on is kind of set loose for a little bit, so that means he gets to come back to life. I think that's a good way to go about it. You could also just take him from a time where, before he died, kind of like what Persona Q2 did. Now, in regards to how he would fight, well, I guess the main thing is which persona would he have? Would he have Orpheus? Would he have Thanatos? Would he have Messiah? Would he be kind of just use a bunch of different personas because he is the wild card? So now what I would like, well, as much as I love Thanatos, I do think, assuming Elizabeth comes back, she should just keep Thanatos. What I think Makoto should have, though, is Messiah, because that's probably the closest thing to his awakened persona. And Messiah is a pretty cool persona, and it wouldn't really take anything away from Elizabeth. I know Orpheus is more iconic, but I just feel like with him, it's got to be something more kind of crazy. And just because the other Persona 3 characters have their awakened personas, he definitely should as well. It shouldn't be Orpheus. I mean, I guess you could do Orpheus Telos, but I just think Messiah would be cool, or he could maybe have a mixture of them. Again, he's the wild card. He technically could have more, and he wouldn't be the only character that would use multiple, as we did have Margaret using more than one persona as well. Now, I guess, standard attack-wise, he'd be nothing crazy. He just uses a sword. Or you could have him use a bunch of different weapons, because I do remember in Persona 3 FES, he could use different weapons. I don't know if in Reload he can or not. I don't know if that's been confirmed. But if he can, then hey, I mean, we have the other main characters like you and Joker kind of having their main weapons. Well, I think Joker can only use knives anyway. And I think you can only use swords, I think. I don't think he could use everything. So I guess maybe Makoto could just use a bunch of different stuff. I'm not sure. But really, he needs to be in the game this time. Like, if he's DLC, fine. He better be like that first DLC character, but like, come on, Alice, like, stop breaking our balls with this. Like, I'm not saying you have to full out revive him. Just find a way to kind of have me in the game. That's all I'm asking. Number 2.
借りを作ったままの自分とは今日でお別れです。
So Kasumi is probably, or Sumire from Persona 5 Royal is one of my favorite Persona 5 characters, and I'm still bummed that she wasn't playable in Persona 5 Strikers. And of course she's going to be in Persona 5 Tactica, but I think just as a early DLC story chapter thing, some crap like that. But she should definitely be in this game. Now, I feel like the thing with her is we do already have a character that uses a rapier in Mitsuru, but I feel like there are ways to kind of make her more unique. First of all, she uses the light element, so that's already different from Mitsuru right there. She probably wouldn't have Marin Karen. She'd probably be more about physical attacks and all of that, and kind of acrobatics. She is a gymnast and all that. You could definitely do some cool stuff there. Then, of course, she has a gun too, which Mitsuru does not have. I'm not counting her evoker. So yeah, there's definitely ways to make her different from Mitsuru. I don't think there's. I mean, if they use the same element, that would probably be a totally different thing. But no, I think she'd be more like flippy and more light based and have more physical attacks than Mitsuru. And she probably want to be a charge character like Mitsuru as well. Now for her chances, this one's tough because she is a Persona 5 character, and I feel like she would probably be more requested and than like say Zenkichi would be. She's definitely more recognizable. But, you know, they are weird with characters. As we've seen, they are very weird with characters like Kasumi. So I think she would definitely be in the game. She just might be DLC character. I would like to say she would be base roster this time. Don't know for sure. I mean, it doesn't help that, like, you know, she's kind of like how Marie in Persona 4 Golden was. And I believe she was a DLC character. So they might do the same with her. But I definitely think she has more chance of being base roster than, like, FemC, Shinjiro, and Zenkichi at least, though. Again, it also depends if this game would follow Royal or Strikers for the main story. Honorable mentions. So here's some honorable mentions that almost made the list. Honestly, there was a lot of characters, so it was definitely tough to decide in some cases. Maruki, Marie, Ryuji, Elizabeth, Ken, and Koromaru. Number 1.
Now, let's see you drop dead one at a time in front of your precious friends!
Damn it, he's lost it. Here comes!
Die!
So I think if anyone has seen my previous Persona 5 videos, you probably more than likely know that Akechi is like one of my favorite characters, and it's still so frustrating he didn't get to be playable in Strikers, and I think he would just be so perfect for a fighting game or a Musou game considering his real personality. Now, I guess the thing is with Akechi is, which version of him do you choose? Do you choose the Robin Hood version or the Loki version? Well, me personally, if I only had to pick one, I would 100% pick the Loki version. I like that version way more. Especially considering that is the real version of Akechi. The Robin Hood was more of a facade. However, and I'm judging from how Tactile's looking, where they're mainly taking the Robin Hood version. I don't know why. I guess because they're afraid of spoiling or something like that. I'm not sure. Just because it's more recognizable. I guess it would be smart to maybe find a way to incorporate both. And do you make them both a separate character, or do you have them work them both in one character? I mean, I'd be okay if they're separate characters, I guess depending on what the rest of the roster looks like, but I feel like there is a way to maybe work them into one character. Now, of course, I just can't really think of a character that has a light and dark sort of side, that uses a sword, that their name begins with the letter A, Ashura from Mortal Kombat 1. It's very convenient that this happened before I made this video. For anyone that's been following Mortal Kombat 1, if you follow my channel, you probably know. They brought back Ashura, finally, in Mortal Kombat 1, and she's sort of a stand-switching character where she uses kind of light moves and dark moves. This, I think, is basically perfect for Akechi, and like maybe they could take it a step farther than Ashura, where they could maybe change his special moves a little bit more, because it's like she kind of has the same special moves, they just kind of have a slightly, they just have a dark aesthetic and have a different properties, basically. Akechi, like, I feel like more of his Robin Hood attacks would probably be more like graceful, kind of proper looking attacks, while the Loki version would just be very unhinged. So maybe they could have the same normals, but different special moves, obviously, with Loki or Robin Hood. I think this would be really cool, especially because it helps because I'm really excited for Ashura in Mortal Kombat 1, so it'd be super awesome if Akechi got to be in a fighting game and he kind of functioned like her. I guess the one thing is, though, with him is, like, his appearance would completely change. With Ashura, her appearance doesn't really change much. All that happens is that she just gets a different aura on her sword. And I know Arxes is very, considering how much detail they have in their characters, they're kind of stingy with sort of letting characters kind of have different costumes or kind of change their appearance that much in battle. I mean, yeah, sure, we got like Videl in Dragon Ball FighterZ who has an alternate costume, but that's like a very rare exception. So I'm not totally sure. And it would also depend on what the graphic style of this game is too. If there were the sprites from BlazBlue, from kind of a, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax or BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, we probably would not be the case. Maybe it'd be a little easier if the graphics were more like Guilty Gear Strive because it's more like 3D, but then supposedly, even then I've heard like there's a lot of detail that goes into making those character models, so I'm not entirely sure. Akechi might have to be two separate characters. I personally think this would be a great way to kind of make them both work and make him unique as well. And again, if I had to choose, I would just pick the Loki version of him. I'm really not that crazy about the Robin Hood version of him, aside from the fact that he kind of uses a lightsaber. That's really the only cool thing. Now for Akechi's chances, oh boy, I think he would be... You know what? He would probably maybe be like the how Adachi was. He would be the pre-order character because they know people would want him. They know, Akechi is a very divisive character, admittedly, but they know people would want him. And they'd probably find some dumb way for him to not be. Well, I guess Adachi wasn't the main story for Ultimax. But then, yeah, it also depends if it's following Royal or if it's following Strikers. If it's following Royal, then his chances are amazing. If it follows Strikers, his chances are maybe less great. But yeah, that's all for this list. So yeah, as I said in the beginning of the video, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'd love to hear what characters you would like in the game. They can be characters that are no-brainers. They can be characters that are Persona 1 or 2 characters, or maybe from the spin-offs like Q and Persona 5 Tactica. I know I didn't have any characters from that. I just started playing that game. You don't have to follow my rules. I don't care. But yeah, let's hope we eventually do get another Persona 5 Arena, or at least I'll even take a Persona Strikers 2, and if we got some of these characters in it, that would be great as well. But this is more so for the fighting game. But yeah, once again, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like the video if you like it, dislike if you dislike it. Definitely consider subscribing if you like this video and some of my others. It would really help the channel out a lot. But regardless, thank you for checking out the video, and as I always say, another time, another place. Keep being awesome.
Persona 1, any types to rise. Yeah, I'm down. Sit back, relax,